With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see, we have minutes to approve. I suspect you've seen them all. The October 12th meeting, actually, there was one thing I saw on page 3 where you had the word "the" and it didn't need to be there.
Okay, I shall remove that.
But it
then.
didn't
All right.
make any.
Pick.
Well, you were picking, I thought, I really got to look at this closer.
Well, I picked an improper word, not just the fact that "the" shouldn't be there. John used to do.
Oh, yeah, well, Don was a newspaper guy, so he was in his
Yeah.
journalist love of that. So.
Doesn't change the meaning, who cares?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 12th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, September 21st, 2022. That's a monthly board meeting. I didn't see any problems with it. Did anybody else have a problem? Okay, I make a motion to approve the September 21st minutes as printed. All in favor?
Aye.
And then October 19th, they looked okay to me. Anybody else have a problem with them? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve them on the October 19th minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Correspondence. I guess the last meeting was so short that you didn't get to.
I wanted to, but you wouldn't let me.
I know.
Basically, the police report, things are a bit down, of course, from October to November. For example, reckless erratic drivers are down. Ordinance noise offense down. No accidents, no PIs down. Alarm car monoxide was from 8 to 0. Ambulance calls 5 to 0, and animal complaints 3 to 0. So, but I will say there were 8 arrests, cleared by arrest,
Wow.
adults, and
That didn't count what just happened.
that doesn't count what just happened. Right?
Wow.
And a few of them were by Montauk Highway, so.
DWI.
Well, I don't know, it just says traffic stop, it says Montauk Highway, Sagaponic, Montauk Highway, Sagaponic, Sag Road, Montauk Highway. And a few of them were not. Sag Road, Sagaponic Road, Montauk Highway, Sagaponic. So they've been hanging out by Montauk Highway a lot lately,
Yeah.
since there's nothing going on in the middle of the village.
Well, I've got a question for you. I happened to run into one of the young fellows out here in the parking lot, and I thanked him for working here. And he, said, write out more tickets. We love have plenty of tickets here.
Still a friend goes. I got a lead foot, I'm in trouble.
And he said, well, I get three tickets a day. And I was thinking, gee, is that a lot or is that a little? And I just wondered, your husband was a Southampton Town police officer. It was a different era. But
I can't answer to that.
Yeah, I know, he probably forgets that he was ever in the police force.
Bill was a cop himself.
Yeah. Does
He's the one that asked.
That's
I'm the wife of.
about average, I think.
Yeah.
Some, especially the younger you are, the more tickets you write. So, because you're trying to get, noticed by the administration. So some guys write like 15, 20 tickets a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some guys don't, the old timers don't write one in maybe a week.
Too much paperwork.
Unless something happens right in front of them. So,
But they could pull you over and talk to you. They
oh,
may not
absolutely,
write
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And that sometimes has a better effect than if you give them a ticket.
The guy that's always down Maryland's Road on weekends, Rich, he'll talk to people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And he'll also, say to them, oh, well, if you're a biker, you better put on something brighter colored. Like
Right.
he's doing the community
that's the
policing where
key,
he's
yeah.
talking to people,
That's
Right.
good.
which we like that.
Have we written any letters or emailed any people in the village to start wearing bright colors when they walk in the
not
ride?
yet. Not
No?
yet.
You say yes, you say yes, you say no.
No,
No,
I didn't
not
say
yet.
this.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. I thought you were saying
No, I was
You were
just,
shaking.
I
your
was,
head yes.
I was agreeing with you.
I had a speechwriter do a letter for me, but it didn't sound like me, so I kind of set it aside. Honest to God.
But remember, we don't know half these people that would be, with the
Well, I
email
like
list.
Alice.
They won't know that you're not happy with the letter, as long
It's
as the
just that
content's
if the
good.
letter's more than half a page, I didn't write it. Just- So I was just curious, your point that having more police enforcement, maybe it's, I don't know, I mean, I did my little thing, yeah, write more tickets. But,
I would say probably somebody working in Sagaponack now could probably write 15 a day.
well, that's what I was thinking, I don't think it's just people are.
Now, in November?
Nobody stop
Oh,
signs,
yeah.
nobody stops at the stop sign.
Well, how do you know that? Are you sitting there watching them?
No, I
I
was,
watch, I have.
I see
parked
people
on
stop all the
Seascape.
time.
What's that, Seascape?
Yeah.
I've parked and watched that, and I bet you 1 out of 5 don't stop. They slow down. but they don't
Seascape.
stop.
On
Rich
On
Lane.
Ridge Lane.
on my road,
Oh.
coming back from Sag Harbor, I mean, this is, every other day. I will stop to make a left turn and the truck came through at 40 miles an hour, never touched the brake. I had my signal on. And so I turned and got close to him to try to scare him.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I don't know, I'm brave and it's not my truck.
Did you
So.
scare them?
But I mean, it literally up there. I think when we repave that, we'll put speed bumps on either side of it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
No,
Oh, I hate
he's
it.
right.
I hate speed bumps and I hate stop
But
signs.
he's right.
Well, they're
They
still
do.
new, and I've gone through a few myself,
Yeah, no, I know.
by accident.
Yeah,
and,
when this guy sees me stop with a blinker on and he just blasts through,
behind you, or,
coming the other way.
yeah.
And it happens repeatedly,
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah,
and they've got the, new traffic pattern, they got,
Yeah, I saw that at Narrow Lane too.
Yeah.
They didn't make a left off.
During the
Narrow Lane on
afternoon
second.
commute, they do it at the
Yeah.
corner of Daniels and Gibson, because now that Gibson, they're coming down Daniels from their
well, they
east end.
slide right through.
They
that.
slide right through that one, and in the morning, it's a little harder to do that the other way
Yeah,
because of where the line is, if somebody's sitting there. But the afternoon commute creates some fascinating, on Hedges and Daniels and the morning commute behaviors. Another place that they blow through is coming out of by the cemetery when we made that little divergent to get down toward
Right.
Maryland's. They just kind of go and out onto it. Yeah.
well, I think we have a few letters from people asking with specific requests for speed bumps in places. And I think we ought to just think about it, where else we're gonna, put obstructions in the road. I know you're shaking your head.
Have enough
I
for now.
hate these things, but
Well,
they
We
will.
haven't given it enough time yet.
Oh, we got 5 speed bumps. You got a big village.
Yeah, in a
You
month.
got a-
No, that's enough for the moment.
Well, nothing of the cement, not the cement, the blacktop plants are closed now anyway for 6 months
Well, we do it in conjunction
with another
paving the
project.
road.
Like next time we pave a road, it wouldn't be not right now. We can't pave any roads.
So
I'm
you can-
talking about a year.
You can speed for a little more.
I've been planning to speed and I've slowed down and I'm watched to the rules accidentally once or twice, actually once. And other people have told me they've done it as well on sitting at this table.
Uh,
I'm not alone.
No, well, any new stop sign is a training event for any of us who regularly travel certain roads.
Well,
You have to train yourself.
stop signs require obedience, and speed bumps are just, they're there. There's no way you can ignore them. And I think, speed bumps are the thing. The speed tables are the thing to do, and you just go into whatever speed you want people to drive at.
I know the school is very happy with it. That around the school,
I think it was a great move.
I think it,
Don't get me wrong, I'm happy with what we have. I'm just saying overkill is an issue coming up.
Not on Parsonage Lane.
I didn't say that either.
No, I'm just saying, we don't have to put on Parsonage Lane. You just don't drive on the other roads.
beside Crestview, what are some of the other roads?
A guy on Sag Road wants one across from, I think it was like Wolfer's, the winery. Yeah.
Closer to Fred. He lives right across. from me.
Oh, well, Fred,
But it wasn't Fred.
but it wasn't Fred, but in that area.
Steve Rogan, yeah.
Crestview is like amazing that 10 people on that road have agreed to it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's,
Agreed
requested.
to what?
10 people have requested on that road. I'll count the drivers just for curiosity on a walk, but if there's over 12 or 14 driveways, I'd be hard pressed.
I'm asking what they.
Oh, they want
to.
speed bumps.
Okay.
So hence, I was just amazed that one whole road came together so quickly and did that.
It is amazing.
And we got a letter from Alan Stillman, the father of the problem. Oh, jeez. Do we have people on Zoom?
No,
Oh,
but it is being recorded, just so that we all know that.
yeah, oh, sorry.
And it was up on-
Let's move on.
That's so funny.
Now that I've stepped in it. Let's see, we have a resolution to approve an amendment to a deed on open space conservation property, Sag Main, Pingree Rock Lines piece. They wanted to give us enforcement over it. Originally, it was done as the, I don't know what, the town and Peconic Land Trust. And they felt that we would be more likely to enforce the covenants. So they've given us the opportunity to do that. And if I can find the right page, we can.
Can he deem it so read or so written?
Sure. Okay,
New business, new business.
yeah, this is the Peconic Land Trust and Pingree Rock Line. Amendment where we simply accept the authority to enforce the covenants which they originally put on the property. I'll make a motion to accept this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
That's great. Thank
Let's see, financial stuff. I got a packet. List of building permits, the various fees that came in. Expenditures. We'll have to look at. Anybody have a comment under that?
Our building permits, well, some of them are large permits, so they bring in more money. But our agendas on the architecture board, in my 14 years, are showing a slowdown. We also are built out in some respect because someone would have to purchase a house that fits within our historical ability to be demolished and rebuilt. So we've reached a point where there's less stock, is that what you call it in real estate, that can be.
Inventory, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have some smaller renovations on the agenda that I'll report when it's my turn, but I think we're gonna see, instead of the 3-page architecture meetings, this 1.5 pages or 1 page might be it for a little while. Oh, she says more is coming.
Yep.
I'm only going on the meeting.
Good,
We're gonna have a big burst this winter, huh?
good,
Couple of new houses, yeah.
good.
Copper.
Any other comments? Okay, I want to make a resolution to approve the following bills from the following funds. General fund of $87,816.51. Planning trust and
Hold
agents.
on.
Oh.
Doing individually,
Oh.
individually, please.
Oh,
Second.
okay.
Aye.
Who seconded?
Second on the jump.
Lisa.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Planning trust and agency in the amount of $2,220. I'll make that motion. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
The capital highway fund, this is paying for the paving job, which actually came in under budget,
Mhm.
which is always nice.
First I wrote, second one.
$400,918.49. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And trust and agency, no, it's not, it's another one, in the amount of $2,500. I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Turn of, Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
thank you. Lisa,
I have a couple reports. I'm going to give you the fun one first. It's not normally on my agenda, but I wanted to let you know how the Christmas tree was going. So Jackson discovered that the lawn mowing people or weed whacking segment have severed the big electric line, the end off it. So we're currently waiting to get an electrician before we can plug in and do a test run to see which strands or what has to be dealt with. So, I mean, it's November 15th-ish. There's not a panic yet, but that was a sad discovery to discover that I got my husband down there because I thought he could like fix the end of it. And Roger goes, oh dear God, Lisa, this is a such and such a line. I'm not touching it. I'm like, okay. But anyway, it is progressing. So that's a positive thing. Jackson's very excited. He's like the young person I met in elementary school, happy to work with us and cheerful. So that's.
Do you know if he's gonna bill us for this?
The electrician, I'll probably pay for, or because they, want to be paid immediately.
Right.
I'm praying that putting an end on this, I don't know if they're called 220 something connections. I'm not a good person at that. But he doesn't want to give us the exact bid until he can plug the thing in and see how many strands, whether they're top, low, or whatever. So he would bill you directly, and he said he knows that we're working with us,
So do we know who the electrician is yet?
No, I called one and they haven't responded in the last week. So we're gonna, he has someone he knows. So do we have an electrician that we use?
I don't have a village electrician, but if they're gonna do work, we need to get their liability
Oh, okay.
insurance before they.
That's
go
easy.
About there.
No, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
I the same thing as when they come to a commercial business to fix things. I'm familiar with that. Insurance, no problem. Okay, see, that's maybe why Roger couldn't do it. He didn't have
If
liability.
it was simple, it would have been, but it sounds more involved.
I think it has to do with the power of the line, and I'm not the right person to describe all that. On Monday, October 24th was our last architecture meeting. 219 Sag Main Street, the application was denied. 629 Hedges was driveway gates. They had a no-show, and generally how the meeting works, if no one is there to discuss it, they skip over it, they'll catch it if they walk in later. If they don't walk in, it doesn't get done until the next meeting. 12.
What was the declining for?
Denied application. I didn't write the reason down, and it's 2 weeks
Was
ago.
that a gate too? I couldn't
And
remember.
that was a gate too,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
12 Sag Road was adjourned without prejudice and could come back. 30 Sag Road was solar, and that had no further information as requested, so that's adjourned to next month. The beginning of the meeting are what I'm going to call the lighter weight things, because for those people sometimes to wait an hour and a half through a meeting when it's a quick kind of thing. It's difficult. 338 Town Line Road, an application for a new garage, the demolition of the old garage, and in the new garage would be a second floor office. It was approved on the grounds that they could start working on it. They owed some small things that would go to the committee of the two. A lot of times those things are colors and other things. And here's another, that's an example of something small, a garage. 427 Bridge Lane is also a garage and studio. Lighting was discussed and a light analysis and percentage of light over a section of the doors was discussed. That's adjourned to the committee of two for next month, and we'll hear then. Sorry. Okay, 53 Hedges Lane. This is, okay, the first house up on the right that has a historic designation, Michael Johnson's old house to help. So the addition was discussed. People felt on the committee that the addition needed to look more like a barn, even though they tried to make it like a barn, they felt it looked a little, not quite of that genre. The garage that currently is to the left will be removed to a new location. Everything is within the current square footage that is allowed on the lot. The light emission varies on all the buildings, the new barn as well as the old building, which is very low, is 7 to 11%. And I would chalk that up, knowing Michael Johnson's house, that the older houses had smaller windows. So they would start with the advantage. So that was adjourned to next month to work on the barn building. They discussed possibly kind of shifting it on the lot, the architecture committee, but it was pointed out that they would need a variance to do that. So their solution for adjourning it to next month is they were going to get the committee there in groups of two to do a walkthrough and really concentrate more on the lot and the historic building to work out a solution for the barn and back. So that was that. So as you can see, I mean,
The barn is another building? in the
Yes.
back? Okay.
but the Johnsons wouldn't have used up the square footage on the property that was there.
Mhm.
So this would still be within what's potentially possible. And I don't know if I said it at the last architecture meeting or this one, but the actual house, the historic house, will become a fitness gym for the people who built the house off Fairfield that is directly behind it. And the barn will be used as their guest house.
Those people bought Johnson's?
Yes,
Oh.
but it's in two separate names, so they're gonna remain as two separate entities. Is that the right word?
Single and separate.
Single and separate, but they enter from two different directions too. Also. So zoning board this past Friday had two return applications that are very similar to the application, I guess it was this past summer. Of people looking. What?
That was the Monday meeting. Normally it's Friday, but it was Monday.
That's right, Friday was Veterans Day. See, it normally is Friday. The date means nothing, right, to me, as I'm reading the thing. Anyway, so initially, 110 Sand Dune Court is looking for 51 feet and 9 inches. We, in our code, 32 is where we limit the height of a house.
On that area though, 40.
40 because of, but
Oh, 40?
It's 40 from sea level,
sea level.
but since it's a FEMA zone, it's really,
It's 40.
Not really,
so
yeah.
Every place else is 32, you're correct on that.
So, and then the other one that one was left open for more information, the applicants to add more information. And so that would mean it would go over to a third month. And then the other one is 1 Potato Lane. And that application is similar to, this would be our third application in recent months, where they want variances to build the height of the structure higher, pyramid violations, and a variety of other things. So more will follow, and once there's a decision from the zoning board, I will be happy to read it verbatim. Or Brian can, because he can write it. But right now, at this point, it's still in the tubes being worked on. And while I'm talking, Bill could kick me right now if he wanted to. Can we, since we're so, we don't have anything much on planning, we don't have a lot of loose ends beside road calming, could we possibly pick some projects to look at over the quieter winter? You know, I don't know what we're going to prioritize, but maybe next month we could each come with 1 item or 2 items that we could start looking at, because planning.
What do you mean by a project? I don't quite understand.
Well, something that, remember how we discussed a month ago, things, we gave you a list of things.
Yeah, not much of a list.
No, well, I like my list.
Well, that's-
But anyway, okay, but my point being is that we are uniquely quiet right now, so maybe we
Only
can.
in December, we have 3 new applications planning. So we will have 3, as long as we get everything,
In,
but they've met the deadline.
well, you know those things where we don't know it till it's in front of us.
Sure.
But that being said, we could put a couple things in there, and they can be little things, but it is pretty quiet if we're at 3:30 at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime, just bring stuff forward.
So what do you want us to do? Just give them to Rhodey and you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's see, Carrie, I had, you had asked about, you mentioned the legal distance between parking signs on Daniels Lane.
Yeah, I didn't know there was one.
There's gotta be, because I
It's in
started,
our code.
Well, oh, it's in our code. I thought it was state code or something.
But I
Not-
thought
not
we
the
wrote it in there as to what distance we wanted between those seasonal parking signs.
No, we don't put that in our code. It's-
state
That is,
DOT.
yeah, governed
Yeah.
by whatever the state.
I just picked-
So do
picking up
we
on-
have the state's requirements on?
Well, I was
in
just
the
gonna,
booklet?
I was curious if you looked at all, that's all, I was just, you know, if you had the question, I thought maybe you would.
I rely on the police and the highway department to put them in properly, and if not, for the police to say, these are not placed properly for us to write a ticket.
Well, the highway department clearly measured them, and they put little marks like on the side of the road, day 1, and then they put them in, and then the following year, after they've taken them out, they go back to those marks if they're still okay. I mean, I'm sure some of them disappear depending on the snow or whatever.
Daniels Lane, they come up and down too?
Daniels, Bridge Lane, Gibson, Sag Main, all the signs are
Wow,
up. That's
I
why we
didn't
want
realize
them
that.
down.
Why they took down that many?
So what came of that?
About taking them down.
Yeah.
Nothing yet.
Lee, could I just ask you a quick question? Didn't traditionally, because you predate me on the board, we took them down because we were looking to keep our open space look.
I think it was all part of the agreement originally that they would go up by a certain date. and
Yeah,
down by
it's
another.
not. It's not in any paperwork
Well,
whatsoever.
that's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
because they did come down after the summer.
The agreement doesn't specifically say each item, but it says that they handle not signs, but that's part of their responsibility, so if
Right.
we ask it. The other issue that comes up with the agreement to me would be, if the IMA says they do something and they do it, I can attest for my 14 years, you were on several years before me. If they decide to change what they've done for, 16 years, we'll say, isn't that a contention that we're asking them, I'm sorry, but you've done this, we expect you to keep doing it? In a legal document.
Yeah.
So I looked
I'm
at it.
asking you.
Yeah, I looked at it today. It's, I would say, it's vaguer than most people would remember. It's a very vague agreement. It just says we will continue the typical highway services.
But if they've done it previously, aren't they continuing what they typically have done? I'm just asking.
Yeah, I mean, you mean like a pattern in practice, so they've done it before? Sure, I mean, you can ask them to do that based on pattern in practice. The IMA is very vague. It just says highway services will continue to provide the highway services provided in the town of Southampton. That's the full extent of the line. Doesn't really talk about authority, doesn't talk about jurisdiction, doesn't talk about giving instruction, doesn't talk about any of that stuff. It's very open-ended.
Well, we do have a bargaining chip. This is an accurate piece of information that I got, but I actually haven't shared it with you, Bill, yet. But apparently in Southampton town, I asked Don, did he remember, because he once had said that at one of our meetings, the percentage of roads we have in the bigger Southampton town
Right.
and the percent that we're paying for. And he said, we have 3% of the roads in the big Southampton town and we pay 6.9. I don't have my phone.
6.7.
Or,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
doing it without the paper. So currently, well, for a while.
Absence the original IMA.
So I think maybe just a polite discussion, starting with Rhodey, who talks with them all the time and has a good working relationship with them, that due to past practice of X amount of years, and I think because if they didn't go all the way down Sagmain, all the way down Bridge Lane, Gibson and Daniels, we're talking about a huge visual difference. It was always a pleasure 9.5 months of the year not to look at those signs.
Do we need them all?
Yeah, I think you do legally. That's the measure.
What do you mean legally?
If you want to be able to write a ticket, then you have to have a sign so often.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people can say, well, that section of the road was not signed.
Right, it wasn't close enough to be able to see it.
If you don't want.
There are standards for it. There's National Highway Transportation Safety Standards. There's a book, it's a highway manual, it's like this. And they lay out where it has to be. X number of distance between speed signs, X number of distance between speed signs, depending upon what your speed is, X number of lines between, or space between no parking spots.
And
If
that's
you
the
don't want
state,
them down,
National Highway Transportation Safety Standards.
remove it from the code. Well, that's what
that
I'm
will,
talking about.
that's what I'm saying, that, then you can remove the signs.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's also down Erica's Lane. It's
Oh.
Erica's Lane, Daniel's.
Yeah, it would be
I
a-
don't think we need that many.
Well, we did have a time period where people were parking down Daniels,
Yeah.
Gibson,
Bridge.
Bridge Lane and Sagmain, and the drumming era.
Oh,
Is that over?
Well,
Drumming ever.
no, they're still
No, they still
drumming.
come in on Monday nights, but they have not been an issue since we
A while.
changed the times at the park. I mean, Sagamine Street is open, they changed it to 9, and that's when we changed our parking.
Our
From 9
signs.
o'clock, from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, restricted parking.
And that also helped on Gibson because we also had the overflow problem where they would park on Gibson with the other, and then they would walk down the beach. So we had some rough times there with a lot of people parking all over the place. But we're talking about a huge amount of signs that were wonderful not to see 9.5 months a year.
Gibson Lane would be a total disaster.
It would be a
They
disaster.
didn't have.
Yeah.
no
Well,
problems.
Daniels, what do they park from Potato Road down to
Mhm.
Daniels?
Park on Potato Road. I mean, no, they park on Daniels. They were parking on Daniels and walking to Peters Pond because they didn't want to take their fancy cars
Cars
down
on the mess on
Yeah,
the
the-
road.
poorly paved
It's huge.
beach in Peters Pond.
You need a truck.
So it became a bit of a problem. And then we had a few houses that, on Daniels, the people that lived there, next thing you know, there's 5 cars parked in their front lawn because they were close enough to park and walk to the beach. And it became a problem. And I think we should, if we can do it, I think we should approach the highway department, the superintendent or whoever, and put it in a new clause in there somehow.
I did speak with John Harville today.
You did.
I tried to appeal to his kinder side, and he told me that he does not have the manpower to continue taking out the hundreds of signs that have to be taken out and reinstalled each year. So.
I saw that his response to you
Yeah.
on the other thing, which I understand that, but on the other hand, at the expense of Sagaponic Village, he's trying to tweak his budget.
And we're already paying double.
I
what
understand
we are
why he has to do that.
road-wise.
But that may not be acceptable to us who
I
have
think
him.
if you want to push, you're gonna have to go back to the IMA, and is that correct, Brian?
Yep.
I've already asked him if he would do it. He is the superintendent. He's already told me no twice, once in the email and then once today. If you want to pursue it further, maybe you want to put a meeting together, Bill, and ask him again.
I would do.
And then even if, I'm not sure how the IMA would work, because that's something that's done by the supervisor and the town, but I'm not sure as an elected official, you know, still how that's going
He'd
to be.
probably have to be a signatory to it. You know, he'd have to agree to it too, but again, the IMA is like the Constitution, you know, it's bigger. It doesn't really get into that kind of small detail,
Yeah.
any aspect of it. Policing, it really does not.
Well, we do have the percentile, knowing that we have 3% of the roads and I'm sorry, I forgot if you said 6.9 or 6.7, but
6.7.
thank you, math people. So, I mean, we obviously have a plus that way. The other issue that would scare me down the line, and it just popped into my head now, when the police officer was at our house the other day during the incident, Roger said to me that he said we were the only people present in our homes on all of Gibson Lane on Sunday when that incident happened. And it occurred to me that the next thing that could potentially happen is in a storm, they prioritize where they think the majority of people live and they only plow certain roads because they don't have the manpower. Well, I worry that it opens a door
That's
to
only
more.
on private roads.
Yeah.
That we could definitely.
Yeah, they won't do that to the fire too.
Yeah.
Fire response. Yeah.
But we don't want to lose. Remember, we fought so hard and won to keep Sag Bridge as Sag Bridge. And I remember that meeting in Bridgehampton on the Turnpike with Alex, what's his name? And I was taken that it was so unimportant to Southampton town how they were looking for the traffic flow on the south off the highway to be through us. And I just don't want to give in on a lot because I think I wasn't an original founder of the village or anything, but I think the point was that we wanted to retain our rural character, and the signs really are not necessary 9.5 months a year. And there are other things that could affect our rural character if this is the step of, and everybody, I understand there is less.
Okay, let's stop. You guys have chattered enough, and I hear it. I was a spokesman for the village, okay, the formation of the village, and this was specifically about keeping the beachfront with Sagaponic, our piece of beach, so they didn't take it away and they didn't rezone it. They didn't put up a skyscraper, whatever the hell they had in mind. Those guys spent a whole lot of money.
Who's
Oh.
they?
They,
Yeah, what are you talking
I
about?
forget his name. There was a guy, what? Well, Dune Hampton. There was a guy, one of the guys in Waterville, I knew his caretaker. And so he told me quite a bit about this character. And he was kind of the head, the person who realized that they could incorporate one house in a line along oceanfront. And then they control zoning, building, whatever they wanted. And no matter what they said, they would control the beach and beach access because you had to cross their little piece of road to get to the beach, which they would control. Anyway, it had nothing to do with rural character. It was a preservation measure to keep us connected with the beach. I agree that we need to preserve the farms, do environmental improvements, do visual improvements, but I think you're kind of picking one little thing to focus on, which to me is not as important as some other things, or which this board has ignored for years. And specifically, you bring up Sag Bridge. When I was thinking about running for mayor, and I was thinking about things that I wanted to do, and I saw that the bridge had trees growing on the abutment. It was downright ugly. All the time that I fished off that bridge and swam from it and rode a boat underneath it, the town came in periodically and mowed the edges of the bridge, and the thing was kept neat. There were white locust posts. They came down and painted them every year. The whole, it was taken care of by the town. And for years, okay.
I don't think we ignored it.
Wait a second. No, wait. You spoke. I have a chance to speak. All right. I've been very quiet. Let me continue with my little tirade. Okay. The town took care of that. And then after the village took the bridge over and spent $1 million or whatever it was renovating it, the place was just let go. And I was very prepared at that coming in to kick Alex Greger out of the village and have our own highway department to take care of these things. They didn't do a good job on the road shoulders, cutting brush back. I mean, I spoke to Alex Greger once and he was an absolute unworkable person. When I came in, I had a meeting with McCardle, rode around with him and pointed things out to him. And he said, fine, we'll take care of it. He was very reasonable. He came down immediately. The bridge is cleaned up now. I mean, there was a tree growing this big around out of that had been let go for years. There are still a lot of encroachments on the village right of way. If you come south on Sag Main Street with a rise in the road, what's his name? The first guy who put a house up and obliterated the field there. He planted all the way out almost to the edge of the road, and then I resigned, did the same thing. There used to be a dirt path you could walk on and stay off the road there. And that's taken up by the adjacent landowner. We own that. And I've had people mention to me that why aren't you taking care of that? And the same thing is happening across from Sag School. The guy in the corner had all his stuff pushed back very nicely by the Architectural Historic Review Board. And the next guy over has got a hedge planted 6 feet into our right of way. And the next guy over, Gary, whatever his name is trying to plant all the way out to the street. And the next guy down there, we used to work on all his properties. He's planting out to the street. The next one down there has trees obstructing. You can't walk along the edge of the road because they have bushes, which have been there for years. And now they put more bushes in. And they put dry wells in the village right of way. And all this stuff has been let go for years. I'm irritated that all that stuff has been ignored. And now there's a sign on this little section of the village. There's signs out there which need to be there for most of the year, a good part of it. Now become a rallying cry to throw the highway department out. I mean, I'm not gonna set up or run a highway department.
Who's talking about throwing
We
the highway
didn't say
department
it,
out?
You told me in your arrogant phone call, you were rude to me, and you have not apologized.
Nor have you, so let's call it a draw. I'm sorry, Bill.
Anyway,
I'm being polite.
I was rude to you.
Now, can I say something here?
Absolutely. You're the good guy.
The town did, you're right, maintain the bridge for many years. And all of a sudden, Gregor came in
Right,
and stopped all services.
yeah,
He put Sagaponic like on the bottom of the list. And we dealt with that for many years. And he just would laugh, oh, the people in Sagaponic, they think they deserve the world and all that. That was his attitude. Well,
absolutely.
now we've changed the policy on removing the road signs. And McCardle says, no, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah,
Are we going back into a Gregor type environment where he doesn't do anything? If he can save money and it's at the expense of Sagaponic, that's what we'll do.
I think
So I'm concerned about the fact that he's all of a sudden taken upon himself
Yeah.
to not remove those things to save money. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the manpower. Well, you know what? Get the manpower.
Right,
Get the manpower if you have to. And I certainly don't want to create a war with him. He's been very good, as you said, and we've all seen. He's been very good servicing what we've asked him to do. He's back taking the care to see that the bridge is clean and stuff. So I think it's important that we tell him, look, we don't want to create a war with you. You're the superintendent of highways.
Mm.
However, this is one thing that we don't agree with. You think we can just leave the signs.
yeah,
Next thing you know, well, I can't afford to cut these hedges back that you're talking about.
right.
We can't do that. So are we at the point where we have to hire somebody to do it? And I didn't hear anybody, I don't know about your conversation, Lisa, but I didn't hear anybody say, let's get rid of the highway department. I think
You
they're
did not say that to me.
they're important, and I think he's on the right track, but this is something he's never done before. And, you know.
It's a learning curve for him too, probably.
Yes, it is a learn, exactly. But I think it should be brought to his attention that we're not happy that you're gonna, at the expense of Sagaponic.
Well, Bill, I believe in the things that you want to have done. I agree with that as well.
Good things.
Yeah, those things I agree with also. We should.
Well, how come I'm here and now they're gonna get done? Why weren't they done over the
Well,
last
that's the
15
past.
years?
You can't even
Yeah,
go there.
okay, well, I'm just, all of a sudden, we're mixing things up here. Okay, who's gonna talk to McCarthy?
Well, you started with, you said something about those properties that are on village property.
Yeah,
Did we start it or did the town take it upon themselves? They came through and they were cutting back all that.
That's when Charlie started.
Yeah, and he started doing that.
Started doing that.
That was never forget Gregor if we ever
Right.
had him doing that. So he is paying a lot of attention to Sagaponic compared to what we used to get 86 on a lot of things. And
so who's gonna talk to the guy and try to take a second shot at it, a third shot at it?
well, I'll go talk to him.
Well, Bill, Barbara, I mean, not to confuse the situation, is roads.
Yeah, I'll call him up, make an appointment,
Do you want
explain to him.
do you want him to come here?
If he could, if not, I'll go anywhere. I mean,
Okay, I'll call him and ask him.
see if I can meet with him and
Do
we'll,
you want somebody else to meet with him?
no,
I do.
I'm fine.
I think Lisa's point about the 6.7%, when we have 3% roads is also really.
Yeah, I think that's,
That 6.7% comes out of the IMA. So it's not just a number we
Right.
came out of. It was agreed upon in the original IMA and continues because I checked the numbers.
yeah.
So,
And I understand if he's got problems with the workforce or something, but, maybe, we can work something out, or maybe,
Right.
Can I ask something?
The six, wait a second, the 6.7 was negotiated where, I can't remember the exact number, we were paying a considerable higher percentage of the town's highway budget because of a high assessment. And so that was a number we could agree with to reduce it back when. So
You signed
actually,
the original item.
we were paying less than we used to pay. You know, it's not like we're giving something away. Under the town, we had no way to negotiate a better rate for Sagaponic. When we separated through this agreement, we were paying like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, it was like 9-point-something% of the highway budget.
I think that was the original, I think you're right with the
Yeah.
point, and then it went to 6.7, and,
No, it was, the IMA always had 6.7.
Yeah.
oh, but I mean, prior to that, it was not.
Negotiations
Yeah.
up to that point.
We went through the same thing with the police department a few
Right.
years ago.
Exactly.
And Don had a few guys, Wilson come down,
Yeah.
met with him but as it turned out, it worked out to our benefit. I think that
Right.
they decided that, oh, maybe we should give them a little bit more attention. And Sagaponic, we ended up with a sector. So I think, you know, we can negotiate and
they don't want to lose our tax dollars. We don't want to take, as a small village, more responsibility with hiring staff and buying equipment and police cars and any of that. We have discussed that over the last decade ad nauseum, that obviously we couldn't take on all that and function out of our piece of property here. You need storage barns, you need equipment, you need certain kinds of inspections for trucks and.
we don't want to hold over his head that we're paying 6% of the thing, you know, I mean, he's aware of it, he's new at this is his first year. I think just a little chat with him would be fine. You know, okay, good,
Thank you.
I think
Bill.
you need a third person at that chat.
all right, I'm.
Not me, though.
You're volunteering.
I nominate someone else.
You want to go?
No.
Huh? He won't come down here anymore, once you're in.
If you have it sometime later in December, I can be here.
Yeah, I don't know what's his,
Yeah.
you know, schedule is, but.
It's always good to have another person there also too, in relation to just maybe taking the notes while you're
I'll
talking.
be in the meeting with you.
Yeah.
Okay, that would work.
Okay,
Yeah.
then that's fine.
Yeah, it just helps to have another set of whatever ears.
I'm sorry, Lee, do you want to straighten me out?
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
If I speak to Bill or anybody in the interim, if it comes back to me, I'll certainly share.
Okay.
The only thing I can say, okay, wait, open the door here, is that when those signs go in, I think it's a mechanical, what do you call it? It's done so beautifully. I mean, it's almost like it's been scripted. Bang, bang, bang with the post.
And they drive on. Yeah.
And then they come back with the signage. I never see the signage go up, except I hear the rattle of the wrenches, but you know, once it's underway, it seems like, boy, it doesn't take any time at all. So it's kind of like a significant schedule. If the manpower is available, then quite obviously.
Yeah, and Charlie may not realize how little time it takes, or he might say, yeah, this is
Well,
ridiculous.
maybe they hang out at the beach too.
Yeah,
From my memory of other years, it takes 2.5 days to get them up. But to get them down, they have that machine that pulls it.
That's true.
And then one of the guys has one of those electric screwdrivers, undoes the little rectangle, and it just boom, 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 and then on to the next one, boom, boom, boom. And they run 2 trucks next to each other doing that. Somebody takes the little sign off, the other person with the pull part pulls it.
And it takes how long to take them down?
1 day, maybe. It's all gone in 1 day, a day and a half, maybe, depending on weather.
well, yeah, set that up, we'll have a chat.
Okay, I'm ready to adjourn the meeting. I'll make a motion. Was there
Second.
something else?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Great.
I had a question on Lisa, just to